will be coordinating that work going forward between tonight and tomorrow in the afternoon. We are entering the last hours of the 55th National Conference of the African National Congress, which was a resounding success. We apologize to our delegates, guests, and members of the media for the delays that characterized the first 2 days of conference relating to registration and accreditation. An organization as big as the ANC and the ruling party should lead by example and not have issues of administrative errors like we have done. We need to correct that decisively going into the future. This was as a result of some teething problems as we transitioned to our new online membership and registration system. So far, the conference has already dealt with a number of issues, including the following: political report by Comrade President Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa, organizational report by Deputy President David Mabuza, financial report by Comrade Paul Mashatile, presentation and adoption of credentials, Integrity Commission by Comrade George Mashamba, constitutional amendments, presentation of the strategy and tactics, presentation of the ANC performance in the election, and organizational renewal. We presented here in this conference the survey we have conducted as the ANC in relation to elections. Let me also take this opportunity to confirm the national officials of the African National Congress as elected by the 55th National Conference. President Comrade Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa, Deputy President Comrade Paul Mashatile, National Chairperson Comrade Gwede Mantashe, Secretary General Comrade Fikile April Mbalula, First Deputy Secretary General Comrade Nomvula Mkonyane, Second Deputy Secretary General Comrade Marupeni Ramukhupa, Treasurer General Comrade Gwen Ramukhupa. Inspired by the theme Defend and Advance, the gains of freedom, unity through renewal, we can confidently assert that the delegates of the ANC have spoken. They spoke loudly, boldly, and eloquently that the unity and renewal of our movement remains sacrosanct and must proceed irreversibly. As the newly elected leadership, we have heard them. We have already concluded our commissions in which the twin principles of contestation and cooperation were robustly exercised by our delegates with a view to reach consensus on the key tasks of the day. We are going to be working almost throughout the night to cover the lost ground in terms of getting reports from the commissions and adopting the resolutions for this national conference. The commissions will tonight start reports to plenary after the finalization of the nominations for the additional members, which exercise is being conducted as we speak. We will be adopting resolutions and voting at the same time, so as to cover for the lost time. We are now in the process of electing our additional members of the National Executive Committee. The results are expected to be presented to the closing plenary tomorrow. President Ramaphosa will deliver the closing address tomorrow. and the Secretary General will deliver the declaration of conference tomorrow. We thank the delegates of the ANC for displaying maximum unity and discipline, as well as conducting themselves in a manner that is consistent with the culture and traditions of our glorious movement. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary General. I'm now going to open the floor for questions. So what I'll do, SG, is we'll take the round of questions. You can note them, and then you can answer. Maybe say we take the first 5 hands. Okay? You can, we take the first round this side. Okay. So just say your name and the name of your media outlet. I must say that SG, we've got quite a huge contingent of both local, regional, and international media here.
Good evening, sir. Jan Janjebaard for Network 24. Firstly, congratulations, Mr. Mbalula, on your election. That said, one of the issues that has come up in the run-up to this conference has been the standard side rule. And I was wondering on 2 issues about that. The first was on an issue where a member of the ANC is found guilty in a court of law and that sentence is then lessened. What happens, at what point is such a person eligible to stand? And secondly, if a person is sentenced, having agreed that they were guilty, to a fine or imprisonment, and they pay that fine, does that mean the whole situation is expunged? Can the person then stand? Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Next
Paul Vecchiato from Bloomberg. Just for planning purposes, really, can you give us an idea of the timing for tomorrow? So, what time do you expect the plenary to start? Will all the NEC members on the new NEC be announced then, or will that be a separate process? Thank you.
Good evening, SG Mbalula. This is Christian from Netwerk 24. SG, so what I would like to ask is the step-aside rule still going to be implemented? Because according to information we have, that people like Andile Longisa and Batabile Dlamini has now been added to the list to content positions for the NEC. And if so, is the step-aside rule still in place? And then secondly, just on the report by the Integrity Commission, was it on the Pala Pala issue? And what was the... Thank you.
Is it not winning?
It's who? We can take him behind you, TD, because we're just taking the whole round now.
Okay. Yeah. I'll give it to you now, Budzwai. Thank you so much. TD Madia from Eyewitness News. Congratulations, Mbax. First of all, the commissions are over. I want to understand. Are you satisfied about the quality of conversations happening? Because as an outsider, I think not enough time has been given for those commissions to deliberate over critical issues about the organization and what it also wants to do for the country. Secondly, can you just maybe in on the decision that I understand has been taken for Andile Lungisa and Batabile Dlamini to be allowed to stand for the NEC members who are about to be elected? I had a third thing I wanted to ask you. I just need to remember. Sorry, guys. I'll come back to it. We'll come back.
Thank you. It's Kelvin Whittles from Newsroom Africa. Mr. Mbalula, when can the public expect report backs on the commissions, which has become part of the ANC's conferences? Is that still going to happen? Will we get a report back on the input by the Integrity Commission with the head of the Integrity Commission? We understand that the Electoral Committee took its rules to the plenary. What did the plenary decide about the Electoral Committee's rules? Were there any revisions made which would allow people to stand? And then you say that nominations are happening as we speak. Are you able to tell us if anyone has been nominated from the floor and who those people are? And was there no expectation for us to be part of that nominations process? Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Secretary General. Mzwani Limbeche here from the SAPC. I think there's a lot of renewal that we've been hearing as you embark on this conference. What is it that you, as the new leadership, are going to do differently to ensure that that renewal you're speaking about is actually effected? I mean, I think easier said than done, but I guess it's the actions on the ground, especially because you have people who have lost the conference, they may feel aggrieved, they may feel they are being excluded and something like that. So what is it that you're going to do differently? But besides that, I think the core of who you are as the ANC is to serve the people, particularly because you are the governing party. I think the fact that South Africans are complaining day in and day out about the state of the country, it has happened under the rule of the ANC. Why should South Africans trust you that you'll turn the situation around when the decay, if I may put it that way, happened under the very same ANC? Thanks.
Thank you. I'm Khawelo Magolero with UFM and News Note Agency. Mr. Mbalula, did you discuss load shedding? I've already heard the Secretary of Limpopo saying they are opposed to the so-called just energy transition. And if you discussed it, where are you with it? And regarding how you are running the conference, I've been to many ANC conferences. I've never seen one this secretive. I mean, almost all the sessions are closed sessions. What motivated the decision to just keep us here? I think you could have even sent us press releases, we'll get the message. I don't know, for a ruling party perhaps, South Africans would expect you to be much more transparent. Thank you.
Good day, Mr. Mbalula. It's Thando Maeko from Business Day. Now that the conference is over and elections for the leadership is concluded, do we expect the electoral committee to be dissolved? Not dissolved, but reconstituted? What happens to the electoral committee now?
She says, do we expect that now that conference is being concluded, do we expect the electoral committee to be dissolved? What happens to them now? Okay.
Good evening, SG, and of course, Bulemabe. My name is Buleli Treaty Jones, ENCA. Mr. Mbalula, now that you're elected as the new Secretary General of the organization, could we expect you to be resigning from the executive position of being the Minister of Transport to fully focus on the affairs of the organization as soon as next week? Thank you.
Okay, that's the last hand. Last hand. Huh?
When will he resign is what I, sorry, thank you. That's actually what I wanted to ask. When are you resigning from your job as minister? That's all, thank you.
Last hand, we are not going to open
all
the
right.
next round.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Lukhanya Khalad from Newsroom Africa. SG, firstly, congratulations. The organizational report was presented before conference. Mentioned a few things, particularly about the decline in both the quality and in the discipline of members of the African National Congress. It also spoke about branches where there's no political education that actually takes place within the branch. There's no money to fund political education programs in the OR Tambo School of Leadership. I would imagine that those are issues that are going to be driven by your office right now. How are you going to deal with the issue of discipline, instilling discipline within the African National Congress, its members? How are you going to deal with the issue of political education? Because when we, as the media, were allowed into the plenary, we saw debates and discussions take place that were akin to discussions that are you know, that don't belong in conference. So how are you going to deal with the issue of discipline, as well as the quality, as well as the issue of political education over your term? Thank you, sir.
No, thanks. Those are the questions that we had. The challenge is that hands come up afterwards. We'll come to this side. Let's just take and then we'll come. So we'll do 2 rounds. This is the first round of questions. Can you help me with the mic?
Hi, Zoleka Kotashe from SABC News. In the political report presented by the President at the beginning of the conference, he also made mention of state capture and how there would be resistance, but that the party must forge ahead in effecting some change in relation to corruption within the party. We know that Nomvula Mukunyan is the first DSG. She has a number of findings made against her in the commission report, as well as the national chairperson, Gwede Mantashe. How do you plan to effect these changes if there are top people in the leadership of the party that are in the state capture report? And I know that there have been questions about the Phala Phala report. We spoke to delegates yesterday that said that there was no, the report was not discussed. Can we know the status of that, please? Thanks.
Thanks, SG. Those are the questions.
We will discuss as officials and with the President when we will resign the portfolio of transport so as to enable smooth transition, and that the work we have carried out and which we will continue to carry out through another member is not interrupted. So if it was my call alone, I will resign tonight. So we have to discuss. I might go now or after the State of the Nation, or even go on Monday. So we'll have a meeting with the President as the Chief Executive of Government. What does he prefer? Of course, it doesn't mean anything because you can go now or any other time. So if President is ready to replace immediately, he will advise. So that's what will happen with regard to that particular matter. In terms of step-aside rule and eligibility to stand and so on, and the Integrity Commission on Phala Phala. The Integrity Commission did not table a report on Phala Phala. The report of the Integrity Commission is part and parcel of the organizational report that was presented by former Deputy President, Comrade Didi Mabuza. Should there be any developments in relation to that, we'll communicate accordingly. At the present moment, there's not been anything for this conference about Phala Phala. The commissions will, step aside the rule. The commissions are going to report, and you will get a feedback in terms of step aside. But you will know from the policy conference, it was resolved that step aside rule stands, and it must be applied consistently in the organization. It must be strengthened. That's what the policy conference resolved. As to whether or not this conference has decided on that or otherwise, the resolutions that will be taken and adopted this evening to tomorrow will tell as to what is the final resolution. So there will be briefing sessions throughout, as and when we resolve on issues, and I think Comrade Pule and his team will do that. And it answers the question about the media presence here. We appreciate your presence here. What is important for us is to inform South Africans about the decisions we take. We have given you an overall briefing about where we are. As and when the Commission's report tonight, we will be reporting. But I'm not sure you will still be there by 12 o'clock. But the media team will guide. As and when report on all issues, finish reporting, the rapporteurs and the chairpersons of those commissions will come and give you the report on our resolutions. That will happen throughout the day tomorrow as well. So the media will be fully briefed. We are not having a closed conference. We gave you the opening session and the nominations. Pule will decide on the nominations now as to what will happen in relation to that. And I think the Electoral Commission can come and brief you and give you a list of people who have been nominated. You will actually have that. The nomination are continuing as we speak. On the question of commissions, is there enough time? The commissions did not start here. We started at the policy conference. So what conference is doing is to adopt the resolutions, proposed resolutions or recommendations from policy conference. So we've been debating these issues from the policy conference on a number of issues that we have been debating. We will now come and tell you what have we resolved. Is there enough time? There is enough time. That's why we create space for a policy conference to enable us to exhaust debates on policy matters in the organization. Nominations have been taken. The National Executive Committee dealt with the issue of Bathabile Dlamini, Comrade Bata, in relation to the ANC constitution. And a decision was taken by the National Executive Committee that she will be allowed to stand as a member of the National Executive Committee, of which that matter have been laid to rest and clarified with plenary. So that's what has actually happened. Why should South Africans trust us? We can't answer that question by yes or no. South Africans will trust the African National Congress out of its own program, and whether or not, in terms of that program, the ANC is able to implement that program, and we will be held accountable from what we would have said. At the present moment, the ANC response to South Africans will be guided by how far we have gone to implement our manifesto in terms of the last election. And to simply say everything is decaying, I think it's an over-exaggerated statement. Not that there are not weaknesses in governance. There are weaknesses, there are challenges, but there are equally strides that have been made in terms of our election manifesto. So, which barometer we are using to come to a blanket statement like decay? We have been affected by objective and subjective factors in terms of our performance. Overarching in terms of the objective factors, in terms of the performance of the economy, is that the sixth administration inherited an economy that was battered and suffered from recession. Whilst we're still addressing that, we had to deal with the question of COVID-19, which was the biggest setback, not only for us, but the world globally. And we're on the recovery. And in terms of that recovery, we're beginning to see signs. We're beginning to see positive signs in terms of the economic recovery. 1.6 GDP growth in the last 2 weeks announced. The labor survey also giving good results in terms of the performance of our economy. So good days are ahead of us, and we need to tighten our grip and be decisive on what needs to be done in different areas. Load shedding, is it been discussed, what's happening and all of that? The resolutions will tell what we're saying about that. There is a major restructuring that government must undertake in terms of ESCOM. And a major intervention we've got to make in terms of the management at ESCOM, because we've got to kill load shedding. It can't be business as usual. And government will have to give the ANC a report back on the mandate of how to go about in addressing the challenges we are facing at ESCOM. We need to deal with those issues. Why sessions are closed? There's only one session that has been closed. Not all sessions have been closed. We were in commissions up until we were voting last night, and we were in commissions. The last commission finished at 1 a.m. So it's not closed. This morning, we announced the top 7. It was not closed. The commissions is a closed session. So there is nothing that we're doing in the dark except debating issues. That you will be informed of later on today. First report here, reporting and the resolutions, Pule will come to you, and he will give you the schedule about the report back we want to give to the nation about the work we have actually covered. So we have not been sleeping. The voting finished around 10 o'clock last night, and the commissions were continuing. So that is what we can report, and we are really, really sorry if there is an impression that we're closing you out. We want to inform the nation, and we do appreciate the fact that the media is with us and is robust in its engagement with us. So there is no dictatorship of the proletariat here. So we want to engage with you. We want your questions to be answered on a whole range of issues. That's why I've explained to you that after the address of the president, we'll have the top 5, top 7 appearance and engagement with you, probably on the address. But I know you will only ask one thing, pala pala. So, but just be ready to engage with us on a whole range of issues, and then get to engage with our officials, led by the president. That will happen tomorrow in the afternoon, and Comrade Pule will coordinate that. So, all in all, we do appreciate the media, because the media is a platform through which we inform broader society about what we are doing here. The Electoral Commission future. The Electoral Commission was the first time it was established now. We will do an evaluation about the work that they've done and how to strengthen the Electoral Commission. It was for the first time in the ANC that we have an Electoral Commission. Other political parties have got electoral colleges and all of that. So ours is an Electoral Commission, which is chaired by Comrade Kgalema Motlanthe. So we'll look at that work and make a determination about what we need to do going forward to strengthen and address some of the challenges that the Electoral Commission was facing. Lack of money, of course, we need to grapple with this task. My interest is to deal with Lutuli House in terms of the center and strengthen Lutuli House. And also, we don't have challenges of people not paid. And we deal with those. And we'll deal with that with the Treasurer General, myself, at Lutuli House. We run a smaller machine but effective, and building a whole lot of capacity there. So that is what we're going to do so that we're able to execute our tasks. The financing and the support for the ANC is the support for democracy, and it's the support for the ideals the ANC stand for. And those who've got big pockets then will support us in that endeavor, as it happens with all other political parties. We accept donations without any strings attached. So the task of raising more money for the ANC will always be on the agenda. We are making this assessment about the quality of the ANC membership and what interventions we need to do. Of course, some of the behavior is an ANC, where people just are uncouth, disrespectful. You can't confuse anarchy and ill discipline to revolutionary conduct or militancy. Anarchy is anarchy. Being uncouth and disrespectful must be dealt with. We are not going. Conference is instructing us to be decisive, to act of discipline. The ANC must behave like a party, not like something else that you can't define. I wanted to use a Stokvel. Even the Stokvel is well organized because it's run by people, it's got management and all of that. The ANC has been conducting its business not like a well-organized machine. You have an issue, you've got NEC members who attack the president, you've got NEC members who contradict themselves in public, the membership follows. And then social media, insulting leadership, having opinion about everything. Not that ANC members must not have an opinion, but the center must hold. You can't have a national executive committee and have every NEC member speaking to the media about their views and about how they feel. That is not going to happen. It's not going to happen under my authority that I've been given by this conference as the custodian of the ANC constitution. So I promise you one thing, there will be no lawlessness in the ANC. Those who are continuing with those shenanigans, they must be ready for me. It's gonna be me and them. Because this thing like Casey and Jojo, everybody is speaking and he's got an opinion, then that person must speak in the opposition. I've got enough army to take Julius on and the DA. And then if I've got another army from within, then that is the fifth column. I must deal with it. And I'm the commander of bringing discipline in the ANC. And I must lead from the front. So no more tweeting at midnight from my side. So I must lead from the front. I can't expect membership to be disciplined and I do things. So it looks like my Twitter account must close down. It's going to be boring, right? Discipline is going to be important. There is no self-respecting political party that will go to parliament and vote to impeach its own president. That decision can only be taken by the African National Congress. No member we have sent to Parliament will exist on his own and have his own conscience. If you want your own conscience, then open your own political party. Not here. Here it is democratic centralism. And the center must hold. Whether you like it or not, the center must hold. And we will engage with comrades who are aggrieved about this and that politically and ensure that our issues do not spill over unnecessarily. But if you call yourself an ANC member, there are rules. There is a party line. You must understand that's who we are. And if you don't want to follow the party line, then you belong elsewhere. State of capture report, these members we are talking about have taken the report on review and in relation to the state capture, and none of them have actually been arrested or facing the wrath of the law in terms of their issues. If anything else happened to anyone in terms of the law, the ANC law guided by this conference will kick in. And that is what is going to happen. Eligibility to stand, the question that you asked, anyone is eligible to stand guided by the ANC constitution. So Batabile matter was looked at, she paid a fine, and in terms of the ANC constitution, it means it's not debarred from standing for the position of the National Executive Committee, and that matter has been cleared inside the plenary. The matter of Andile Lungisa is being attended to. The steering committee, chaired by myself, will process that particular issue. If there is a need to update you on that matter, we'll do so on Wednesday in terms of the standing of Mr. Andile Lungisa, Comrade Andile Lungisa. So we'll deal with that. We're dealing with all of those issues. I think that is the matter. I wish to clarify in terms of eligibility to stand. Pule can deal with the issue of the program.
No. Thanks, SG. On the program, the SG has already indicated that we will be having report back sessions. So what we'll do, SG, is that we'll follow the route that we took during the National Policy Conference. Once reports are presented at plenary, we'll be taking those presenters to come and talk to yourselves on the crust of the report that shall have been presented to plenary. We can't have them presenting to you before these reports are placed before plenary, because they belong to the members of the African National Congress. A question was asked on what happens tomorrow and when we are likely to finish. Tomorrow's program will include the announcement of the incoming NEC, the conference declaration which will be delivered by the SG, and the closing address by the President. We've added another issue that has got to deal with the media briefing by the national officials. We anticipate to have concluded everything latest by 3 o'clock. So we do not want to say we'll start at 9 because SG, the challenge here is that if you say you start at 9, you can spend the first part of the press briefing just having to explain why Usatomaga 9. So I get you know, comrades, time here is news. So we don't want to go through that hurdle. So if there are any changes, we've got the media relations team. So just to update our SG as well. So SG, the media you see here, this whole precinct is our media village. We established the precinct as part of giving support to the 55th National Conference. It has got about 5 segments. It has got this press room where we host our own press conferences. It has got the media lounge where the media have their lunch, breakfast, and coffee. It has got our own outside ANC Today interviewing area. It has got the outside broadcast area, and it has got studios. So this area allows us to support journalists. What we did was that, so that we clarify the issue of them, a perception being created that we might be closing them off. We have kept the media in this space. They make requests to us when they need to engage with yourselves in the leadership or any other cadres who might be here. I mean, yesterday, Mbazi Mashilo was also here to come and talk to News 24. There's a lot of other personalities that they invite to come to the precinct. They've got their own dedicated parking area, dedicated entrance, dedicated access cards. They are only operating from this area. We've had a number of sessions with them here. We took them for site visits. We verified them. And ultimately, SG, 918 of them, including their studios, were accredited. So we've got more than 918 journalists, including their media houses, who are covering this conference. By far the largest number to have covered or showed interest in covering the ANC conference.
Thank you. I just want to emphasize, we are not behaving like can't get. I know there's a number of media houses who have asked for individual interviews with me and different officials. We want to give you time. After the conference, the national conference, we want to give you time with individual officials. You have access to them. At the present moment, our difficulty is that we're in the middle of a conference, and we want to give you as much information as possible in relation to the work we're doing, which affect the people of South Africa. Our individual press conferences, and one-on-ones, they will happen. You'll have enough time with the Secretary General. You probably want to ask me, how did I make it here? Because you had closed me, you thought I won't make it, and I told you that nangu no pala. So it has happened. So that has got nothing to do with the ANC. I'm just saying, you will want those juicy stuff and all of that to understand that. And generally, one's view and vision about how we're going to change things in the ANC. So Mzwandile, I know you have been looking for me, and Samkele, and JJ, and everybody else. So we're going to do that, but I want to also give time to the President at the end. The Deputy President, our brand new Deputy Secretary Generals, the Treasurer General, you want to know about money. I want to give you all these people, proper, not half-half. And I think our media team will have to do that work. It's Monday today. I think the whole week we are all yours. And we appreciate the fact that we've been given platform, given the positioning and the standing of the ANC in society that everybody wants to know. But we want to minimize talking about ourselves because the people of South Africa are not interested about our squabbles. They want to know how are we going to finish load shedding. They want to know how are we going to deal with the state of the economy and how are we going to drive that. That's what the President should be talking about. What are we going to do to double our efforts to deal with perceptions of corruption? You want to know from me about the survey, what does it say about the ANC? I want to give that to you as well when we interact. Less about myself. That is done now. I'm Secretary General. My title is Secretary General Fikile Mbalula. So it is done. So we're moving ahead now. And so as the ANC, We want to do things Mzwai differently like that. Because in the past, we have, and also making it a point that the ANC features in the national debate in the country. If we talk about load shedding, how does the ANC think should happen to deal with load shedding? What mandate have you given to government, operationally and from a policy perspective? That's where we are moving now. Less and less about our fixated squabbles. We've come from a conference, we've elected leadership. It was a big contest. And Pule next to me here was contesting. And he is amper treasurer, Pule. Yeah. And yesterday I saw him addressing a big caucus. That caucus gave me problems, Pule. I nearly thought that this thing you were eating, because you guys were very buoyant that you are taking it. But I kept asking myself, how? Unless we do have a Didi Mabuza scam somewhere here, we're going to be betrayed, you know, like it happened last time. No, our branches don't like, what is this thing? They don't like slates. Nomvula made it, and with big numbers, you know, and we've got 3 women now in the top 7, and with the youngest, Maropen, and with me, coming from the ranks of the Youth League. I'm sure Peter Mukaba is smiling. Rapumulikani Mnyamezeli Boy, Jarin Doe, Dipua Peters. We are the first from that. I'm a descendant of that dangerous generation. I don't come directly, I'm a descendant. And Peter Mukaba died saying we must get into the ANC and lead the ANC. So I'm saying he's smiling wherever he is because he died whilst we're working on that. So I feel proud being here, but I know I represent special people in the movement. From where I come from, and the people who raised me politically in the ANC, some are still alive, others passed away. So I look at it that way, that they will want us to give an example, that we can be trusted with responsibilities. I'm looking at the NEC that is coming, and probably it will also be exciting. We'll have good people there, younger, full of energy and ideas, because we're gonna run, I'm telling you. Starting from January in Mangaung, you will see a different ANC. A resolute ANC, a determined ANC, an ANC that does not go to bed with anarchy and ill-discipline. An ANC that is decisive in many fronts, and mobilizing our allies, working with them, going forward. ANC that is a party of solidarity, a campaigning organization. Solidarity with the people of Palestine, Western Sahara, the people of Cuba. An ANC that is the party of the left, the disciplined force of the left. That is what we are going to see going forward, and implementation of resolutions. So we're looking forward to this work, and with great enthusiasm and energy, and a well-organized ANC that accept that we may differ and have dissent, but there must be decorum, not riffraff, this thing of insulting each other. If that happens, then I've got no choice. We've got to deal with that decisively. We're not going to allow that. I was at pains, not being Secretary General, seeing people doing as they wish in the ANC. I can imagine if you belong to any political party and then you do as you wish, you insult the president in the morning, and in the evening, when you insult Ramaphosa, you are insulting the ANC, being a member. That's what you must understand. So the center must hold. You've got issues, bring them to me. I'll address them. In the context of the ANC party discipline and all of that, nobody will be suppressed. I don't want even those who contested here, even some who were very using nasty words and so on, but we are tolerant. and they are our comrades, and they are full of energy and ideas. They are talented. I contested with Mdu. I think he's capable. He's got ideas, he's young. And I'm going to use him to the best of my ability from a point of deployment. And other comrades, Zwelim Kize, Pule Mahabi, yeah? I think I will make him an ambassador, this one.
Aye, man. Aye, man. Okay. No, thanks, SG, for lightening up the room. We can now come to questions this side. I'm sure, SG, the question around some issues around the electoral guidelines that they raised, especially as it related to Comrade Batabile standing. It had to let do, and the SG clarified that point, do with her having paid the fine. The electoral committee, I'm coming to you, comrades. The electoral committee had put forward had tabled a review to the guidelines at our last National Executive Committee. Guided by conference, a determination was then made that with a fine being paid, that should then be consistent with what is in the Constitution of the ANC under Rule 25, as well as the Constitution of the Republic itself, where it deals with one's membership to the National Assembly. But the Electoral Committee will be able to amplify and clarify this point further. As the SGS said, we will be talking to yourselves with the Electoral Committee just on the final or package of names that have been put forward or have qualified to stand as additionals, since you were not in plenary during the nomination processes. Some of the people that Comrade Khalima read out would have not signed their acceptance forms. So we'll come back to that after this briefing. Okay? Norman, Sam, and Faith. Behind Faith? Okay.
My name is Norman Masungwini from City Press. I've got 3 questions. One, there's an ongoing legal wrangle between the president and the former president. Has that matter been tabled before the conference, and what was the view of the conference?
Can you repeat your question, Norman?
The ongoing legal wrangle between the president and the former president.
Ongoing what?
Yes, legal spread between the president and the former president. Was that matter tabled before the conference, and what was the outcome of that? The second question is the composition of the top 7 looks more of many of you are from Gauteng. What does that say about the quality of leadership within the ANC in other provinces? And then the last question that I have is also on the issue relating to the disciplinary issues that the previous NEC said they are going to defer it to the newly elected NEC. Has that matter been discussed, bearing in mind that this is the highest decision-making body of the ANC? I'm referring to the defiance of the party line that was given to members in cabinet relating to the voting of the Section 8-9 panel report. Thank you.
You wanted to say Parliament, Norman? Okay, there was Sam, and then after Sam, so this is the last round of questions. I must just ask colleagues from the media that Sam is there at the back, Leo. Oh, you are sitting like a journalist as well. So I was just saying that if your question has been, no, we passed this side. We passed this side. We are going to have a briefing. Let me just caution. We are going to have a briefing with officials tomorrow. We're not going to come back this side. We're done. We're taking this side. The SG is going to answer. We go back to plenary. Again, we came to a conference of the ANC. The briefings are just things we do in between. Come in.
Thank you, Mr. Mabe. Congratulations, Mr. Mbalula. Could you perhaps give us a sense of perhaps a particular skill, experience, or maybe something about your leadership that's going to guide you as you inherit this office that's previously had towering people like Dumanogwe, Sol Blaki, Walter Sisulu, and Chris Hani? Could you just give us a sense of what it is? It could be education, it could be a particular experience. And you mentioned something about MPs not allowed to veer away from democratic centralism, which I suspect will be in conflict with the Mukwege judgment. I respect that the ANC has chosen this Marxist-Leninist view, but there is a judgment from Democratic South Africa on that. Maybe it might just help you explain your outlook as well. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we can take you, and then, yeah, so that Faith will be the last one. Just say your name and your media outlet.
Secretary General Fikile Mbalula, my name is Puti Musomani. Yes. You have 18 months into the next elections. The report by the former deputy president says the ANC is at a crossroad. I would like you to comment on the fact that you are losing membership. Your membership is declining. What are the factors that are contributing to that? And the next question is, what are you going to do to restore the image of the party? You did comment, but if you could please elaborate more. Lastly, Secretary General, for the first time in an ANC conference, we are seeing a government spokesperson also speaking. We see on screens, in particular, the president's spokesperson. Is this normal? Thank you.
1, 2. Sigbingelele SG, William Mbata from Gaga CFM. I just want to find out if maybe there were issues of the leagues discussed, mentioning Veterans League, Women's League, Youth League. They've got no permanent structures or elected structures. Where that type of challenge is discussed, do you have any plans maybe to resuscitate them? Thank you.
Good evening, SG. This is Faith Daniels from ENCA. I just wanted to get clarity on your Pala answer. If the Integrity Commission did not table a report on Pala, does the same go for Digital Vibes? And if nothing was discussed on that, is it safe to assume that the incoming NEC is going to be besieged with that and will have to deal with that? Thanks.
Okay, SG.
Thank you very much. Norman, the ongoing legal wranglings, former and the current president, our interest as the African National Congress is to ensure that there is cordial, good relations, which are informed by the conventions of the ANC, the movement, the unwritten laws that guide how you behave to the former and you being the present person, meaning we should be able to engage if there are issues. And as the Secretary General, on behalf of the ANC, will be expected to engage with these leaders to ensure that there is decorum in the organization. So whatever issues that the president raises the former about the current, you can argue that they belong to the public discourse. And anyone can comment about them, more especially around Pala Pala and so on. The unwritten law says that there must be a decent way to talk to the former and the current. In the past, not in my capacity as SG, just as head of elections, I've worked on a plan to get the two presidents talking. And I think we need to get that going. We need decorum, we need engagement, and to understand each other. So we need to deal with these particular issues, including matters of legal wranglings and so on. We can't stop the legal process, but we can engage in a political process, which is what we will do. Not only on this matter, on all issues going forward. That is what is required of us. Top 7 dominated by Gauteng, I don't know what does that mean. Mantashe is from the Eastern Cape as the national chair, and that is a migrant worker who came to work here in the mines and happened to stay in Boksburg, but he's from Eastern Cape. I'm from Free State. I also came here in Gauteng because of ANC mission, but home is Free State. I come from Botshabelo, L section. So I've left there. My parents, my mother is now staying in Bloemfontein and it passed on. So, but my origin is Botshabelo. I come from that big township, the 3rd largest in the country. But before I got to that township, I came from the farms. So I'm a farm boy, plus Japi. So I was born in the farm outside Bloemfontein, Deelersville district. That's where I come from. So I come from the Free State. And then Nomvula is from Gauteng. Maropen is from Limpopo. Paul Mashatile is from Alexander. He's the only one from Gauteng, and I think with Comrade Nomvula. Comrade Paul, Deputy President. Comrade Gwen is from Tshwane. So you've got about 3 people there. Pretoria. The president is from Shawelo. Yeah, in Soweto. Yeah. So the defiance by party members in parliament, that matter is deferred to the DC. It's a straightforward disciplinary issue. The National Executive Committee was briefed about that matter, and that is where it stands. And it will not be withdrawn. The disciplinary committee of the ANC will be seized with the matter and finalize it as soon as possible. That's where the matter is. I'm trained in party construction. I'm good in organizing and organizational development and building organization. I understand that even at night when I'm asleep. So that's the experience. I'm trained in the ANC Youth League for this work. I've been Secretary General for over a decade. I know how organization like the ANC is run, having been prepared from the ANC Youth League and in that position. My role as the Secretary General, I'm not the administrator, I'm the political leader of the ANC in terms of Secretary General's office. So I'm expected to lead the ANC from the point of view of building a strong organization and understand my tasks in the Constitution, what are they, and enforce them, and coordinate the work of the ANC, the work of the party, and build the brand of the ANC and guard it jealously. I said in some of my political lectures that the SG ngumachingilani. That's my work. There's nothing about the ANC that can happen without me. It's just like now in transport, when there is an accident, collision in the highway, you're looking for me. Even a pothole in your street, Mbalula. So the same with the ANC. If a member of the ANC is promoting anarchy, they are fighting somewhere, I must be responsive to that. But I work through a structure. And those structures must be effective and they must do their job. Anyone who's sleeping on the job is going to have a problem with me. Because some of my comrades, I've seen them, the things they do, I mean, it's really, really sleeping on the job. The ANC must be alive. If you've got a secretary in all the provinces and the regions, the center must hold. The organization must be alive. I must be told why is something happening elsewhere and is not attended to. So that's what is important. Democratic centralism versus the Constitution. We are a political party that has got members who must understand that when decisions are taken, they are taken. And their job is to follow those decisions. We accept in the ANC dissent that you can have a different view. But members of the ANC have not even been engaging decently. There's nothing wrong for members of the ANC to debate in social media their interpretation about Phala and so on. But and give their own perspectives about that interpretation. But there's everything wrong for members of the ANC to swear and insult each other in that dissenting view. Meaning, you learn even what makes the strength of the ANC is in the healthy contradictions. If you differ with somebody on a matter, say like Phala, in a meeting of the ANC or in the discourse, you've got to give reasons why you say things must happen the way you think they need to happen. You can't suffocate people from thinking, but when you stop thinking, you reach inertia. All what you do, you verbose insults. Then that ceases to be the party that should be respected by people. Society, when it debates issues, members of the ANC are part and parcel of that. So even in South Africa, there is just a degeneration of ideas. People have ceased to engage. There was an era here where national debate was at this level. Now, you read newspapers, you read gossip. When you read an article, it's just a gossip column. There is no analysis, political analysis. What shapes the ideas of society is engagement. And we need to put the thinking at that particular level. Not when somebody raised their view as the ANC, our job is to insult them and put them in a what? In a booth and then characterize them. Engage with the view. If Obrima Shiku says, no, the ANC is losing it and is arguing politically, engage with the view. And you guys must also accept the right to reply. So that's my job. I don't know whether Pule will still be the spokesperson, but that our job is to monitor the news and respond. Because I still have to discuss with him whether he still wants to stay or he wants to go. Because that I appoint the spokesperson, not the NEC. So, there are many options on the table. Ambassador, mayorship in Palabura, and so on. So we've got to look at that. So ANC can't closed shop in terms of thinking, because what made us good as a party is to accept healthy contradictions. And this healthy contradiction comes through the engagement and participation in the battle of ideas. The battle of ideas is not a melting pot in which we get swallowed ourselves as the party without articulating our view. I don't know, Pule will talk about a government spokesperson because I've been very busy in this conference. I didn't see television. Losing membership. We need to look at the ANC membership, the quality of ANC membership. The fact that ANC does not have membership card, it does not have a system of membership that operate literally like Sally's house. You know those shops we used to buy from, they give you a card, or Woolworths. I say sales house because I don't want to promote Woolworths. Sales house, I don't think is still there. Let me talk about sales house. They give you a card and then you have an account. Or you are a member of a particular team and so on. They give you a card and you pay your dues every month or whatever. The ANC does not have that. That's why you have a problem. You come to a conference, there's a problem of accreditation. Because from government point of view, before you implement anything new, you pilot it. You don't just arrive and say e-tolls without piloting them. And then in the process, you deal with the problems. And you don't know how to deal with the challenges that come as a result of the project you are implementing. So if you have a new membership and you want to look good, you're modernizing party, you are renewing yourself, people have got cell phones, you can just click a cell phone and see your membership. You can just click a cell phone and register yourself for conference. Don't complicate it, make it easy. The system must just be proper so that you don't have problems. The issue that I'm dealing with now with driver's license, the things that I've been doing there, from the point of renewing your driver's license, from the point of getting new driver's license card, and all of that. That also goes with the ANC system, that the ANC must have advanced systems that are adaptable to the new environment we live in of the technological highway. It should be easy to join the ANC. It must not be complicated. That's what we need to do. The leagues, the Youth League must go to conference between March and April this year. The Women's League is ready for conference. We want all conferences by May. We should be done. We don't want anything about conference on our agenda. So from February, March is the deadline. All these task teams must wrap up. Veterans League, Interim, IPC, Free State must go to a conference. It is ready. By January, immediately after January 8, Free State will be at conference. Western Cape is ready. Western Cape must go to a conference. No interim structure. So all of this, they must come to an end very fast and quick so that we've got the leadership in those provinces and the leagues. Report about digital vibes and so on. We will update you on these issues as and when we move along. If there's any report new about Pala Pala and digital vibes, whatever, we'll brief you. Having processed those reports through the National Executive Committee. So that is what we'll do going forward. Thank you very much.
No. Thanks, SG. SG, there have been a number of incidences which I will report to your office for processing. And this involved the spokesperson of the president, Mr. Vincent, is it Magwanya? Yeah, Mr. Vincent, yes, Mr. Mgwenya, Magwenya, yes. It's because Agri is not here with us. It's not an elected person in the NC, so I know those who are elected mostly. So he has been spending time talking to the media. I've sent colleagues to talk to him. he has been quite defiant to that. So the good thing about television is that wherever he is, he's able to see this. That the media has brought this to the attention of the ANC. It is now the second time. We'll have to report this conduct with the Office of the President and act accordingly. We'll never allow any government spokesperson who comes to our functions, conferences, and the like, to act like that. At least we now have got the Secretary General. At least myself and the SG share. What's wrong? Are you saying we must allow them to build discipline in our conference? Okay. Because when you raised your hand, Sam, as I was making the point, I thought maybe you want to. Because the SG of the ANC, as he has said, is non-compromising as it comes to matters of discipline. So we know that in the hands of Fikile Mbalula, some of those things will not happen. Cadres take chances because when we did not have, because Comrade Paul was focused largely on his responsibilities as Treasurer General. When there was a vacancy in the SGO, some in government thought that they can take chances. That time of chancing is over. When they come to ANC gatherings, they will have to subject themselves to the same protocols of communications that each and everyone who claims to be a member of the ANC does. There are many spokespersons who are here, but they come here as volunteers of the ANC. But SG, another crisis here is some media houses where we have challenges of really respecting one another, use their proximity to these spokespersons to call them and interview them. So we must make that point so that whoever comes in as spokesperson, I must say this, SG, not that I'm putting forward a resignation letter. I've just told the media that it might be difficult and a bit impossible to come back under the conditions given the strain that comes with the job. But you as my employer will be formally briefed of what I would want to do going forward. Agichabi SG, so that's the point. But we will deal with this and we'll formally will report to the SG. But we'll call cadres and explain to them. Sometimes it is also possible, SG, in fairness to them, that they might not even be aware of the communications protocols of the ANC. So we can assume that they know them. Maybe where we need to start, and this is in our communication strategy, we may need to just workshop them a bit on the comms protocols of the ANC. There are a lot of cadres who work in the presidency whom, because of they've been in the ANC before, understand these things. I can count them. Comrade Stay in Speed and many others. They're in government in the presidency. They know. They volunteer their time to do the work of DIP. They have never gone against those protocols. So those who might not know the protocols might sometimes find themselves veering off. As soon as we've empowered them on those, then we expect them to just follow the line. I'm sure the SG has dealt with all your questions. Sam, Comrade Zizi has guided me that maybe we should try, and I don't know, Comrade, there was a question that came from Samkelo Maseko. He sent it on WhatsApp. I just forgot to read it so that Natasha and Bongiwe don't think that I've just ignored. This was written as part of the other package. Please ask Mbalula, okay, he needs to edit that. Please ask the SG. How is he feeling? How is he feeling with this election as SG, knowing that a decade ago in Mangaung he lost to Gwede Mandash? Samkelo Maseko, SABC News.
Well, how am I feeling? No, I'm feeling good, and I was ready for anything. Even if I lost, I will still be good, because I know I would have lost to a good comrade, Mdu or Pumulo. So psychologically, I always open a space in my heart to accept a disappointment. And it would have meant to me that ANC membership don't prefer me. So I must look at something, maybe contest presidency next time and so on. So look, I feel good, and the fact that we didn't attack each other, we were very decent in our, at least in our group of the Secretary General. Myself, Mdu and Pumulo, we didn't hail insults at each other. Hey, they were flying the presidency among the contestants. And Ramaphosa just looked at them and kept quiet and behaved like an incumbent. That's what happens. So I feel good because there was no personal attacks, character assassination, and so on. So it was just a smooth, and most of the people who were not known, they are known now because you gave them a lot of airtime. You didn't know Pejani Chauke, so some of the contestants, so it was a decent process, which we need to just probably evaluate, given the ANC standards, what is it that we need to do to improve? So we'll look at this electoral process, how it unfolded, and how we can improve on it and take the positives out of it. And I'm positive because in the past we used to just go for each other personally. But in this regard, it was all decent, all round, all decent, and membership was really given, a choice. They were spoiled for choice to look at. But in the future, maybe you will need to have platforms where people argue publicly. In like the primaries, it happens in other countries and so on. So I feel good because I know what I can offer to this position. Because I was trained in this. I know what I can offer, but it's still to be seen. Working with a good collective, I'm not going to be absent on the job. I'm going to be here every day, every night. My job now is ANC. So I think we'll discuss with the president, like I told you, that when should I leave. If he says, Mbax, I think Monday, I'll send you a telegraph that I'm resigning. And then you will then decide who does it take to put in the position in government. Honestly, my time is up in government. It's up. So I'm done with government. My job is at Luthuli House. I'm thinking now about all the ideas I have about Luthuli House and what must happen. There is no money there. And then staff must be paid every month. And ANC must become a campaigning party. We don't have much time. We've got to work on our dented image, battered image. We've got to work on that. We have to be dynamic as a party. How we are going to, we've got January 8, we've got a strategic session we must have before January 8 or after, before Lekgotla. Induct the NEC. Induction is important, politically and otherwise. So there's a lot of work. There's very little time to relax. I enjoy working for the ANC, so I've done it before and I'm happy, Sabelo. I've come to the right place where I belong. So you will see that. Some of you never knew my capabilities as Secretary General because some of you were not born as like Pule. I was very young when I was Secretary General. So when I talk about Youth League Secretary General, you don't know. I was president also of the International Union of Socialist Youth. The people who deputized me are presidents and whom I worked with. Jacinda Ardern from New Zealand, I was the president there. I used to sit in the Socialist International with Thabo Mbeki, Yasser Arafat, as a vice president of Socialist International. John Papandreou, all of those people, for a decade. So that experience, I'm going to use it in terms of my political upbringing and work, build relations with our sister parties. We must be very much concerned about what is happening in Zimbabwe and what role we need to play to solve what is happening in Zimbabwe, because we don't subscribe to the idea of a regime change in Zimbabwe. We need to campaign very hard to get things right, because Zimbabweans are coming to our country in their numbers because something is not right in their own country, which we must support them. And once that country becomes what it was, there will be no Zimbabwean here. So the British must think very hard about what they've done, and the Americans. They must uplift the sanctions so that Zimbabwe can grow as the economy and not use sanctions to deepen the pain and the impoverishment of Zimbabwe. The British know what they agreed to in Lancaster. They must come to the party and invest in the compensation of the Zimbabweans in the program of land redistribution. The 40 or something billion pounds they promised Mugabe and ZANU-PF, they must come to the party and not use the issue of land reform program of ZANU-PF as a scapegoat to run away. So they must come to the party, and Zimbabwe will be a better country. Zimbabweans never came in this country. That was a breadbasket of the African continent. It was an economy that was alive. People were working in Zimbabwe. Now you've got Zimbabweans crossing, facing life and death, crocodiles coming into our country because there is no life. And where life is here in South Africa. And that has unburdened our economy. But as the ANC, we will not agree in ideological terms that Zimbabwe must be turned into a client state next to us. So we need to get that right. We need to campaign for the self-determination of the people of Western Sahara and the Cuban people. And that is what is important. And we need to play our role in the international front. I heard you saying that the Limpopo secretary says no to just transition. I don't know where does he get that mandate from. Because just transition is the ANC approach, which it has given to government. And this conference has never rejected just transition. It has actually said that we must not do away with coal in a faster pace like it has happened. Not even Europe has actually done that. So that's what we have said. So I think colleagues, as they come and brief you, Mamuloko, on the economic front, he will tell you what we are saying about the just transition and all of that. So it might have been the view of the Comrade before the debates are concluded tonight. But once the debates are concluded, party line, the resolution will be much clearer. Of course, coming here, we had a lot of views on the policy issues and so on. And I think comrades will be expressing themselves in that context of the battle of ideas about what needs to happen in shaping our economic policy going forward, including on matters of energy and so on. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, members of the media. So this is how we're going to run. The media relations team will come back shortly to come and brief you, even if you're at the lounge, on when we'll start doing the briefings on the reports. So that if we start doing them tonight, those of you who want to carry those reports can do so. Thanks.